Okay, so let's have a look at the next problem. The ball is in the runway. We'll hit the 5 rollovers. Okay, extra ball lights. But watch the extra ball light down here at the very bottom right part of the screen when we put the ball in the kick-out hole. Okay, hopefully you saw that. That light flashed on and then off real quick. The machine's on player 2 right now. Yeah, even though I hit extra ball, it moved on to player 3. Just to really show that again, let's do it again. I'm going to hit all 5 rollovers. Extra ball lights. Now watch this extra ball over here. The same player shoots again light when I put the ball in. It just blinks momentarily. So what's extra ball's not working? What's the problem here? Okay, so here's the problem, and let's get oriented on where we are. We've got, this is the playfield of the machine is propped up, and right here is the out hole and the kicker for the out hole that'll launch a ball. Here is the trough switch, which we've talked about in a previous episode, and then what would happen is the ball would kick out to the runway right here. The plunger's right here. It's going to shoot the ball down. This is the runway switch. There's a rollover switch in the runway, and we just had that blocked open. I'll show you what that switch looks like from the top. Alright, so here's that runway switch from the top. So what happens is when the ball kicks out, it's going to be right here in the runway. Let's see if I can adjust. The ball would kick out here, and this is the plunger. And then when you shoot the ball, it's going to close that runway switch. And actually, it's a normally closed switch, so it's going to open the switch. So let's look at the schematic and see what's wrong. So here's the part of the schematic that covers this problem. It's around 6E on the schematic. So the I relay is the extra ball relay. And let's go through how it triggers. So we covered the 6B relay in a previous episode. That's going to close at the appropriate time. And we also covered motor 3E. These actually were covered in a previous problem. I'll put up the episode number here on the display. But what's going to happen is when the G is the hole relay, and the hole relay is referring to that kick-out hole in the middle of the playfield. So when we put the ball in that kick-out hole, it closes the switch. And then if you'll recall from the previous episode, motor 3E and 6B close, which would trigger the extra ball. That's great. What would then happen normally is when that I relay closes, the contacts for this set of relay contacts closes, and it would keep I energized. I would stay energized until the ball in the runway runs over the runway switch, which would open this switch, which would then disable the I relay, which disables the extra ball. So what happens, in summary, you make the kick-out hole when extra ball is lit. It should lock on the extra ball relay, give you a ball in the runway, and as soon as you launch that ball, as soon as you plunge it, the runway switch is going to open, which is going to shut off the extra ball relay. This is how they handled getting an extra ball and then clearing it once it was in play. Since this switch was open, we could never lock on the I relay. It would momentarily make contact when the kick-out hole and these switches were made. The I relay would pull, and it would close this just for a split second, and then as the circuitry, as the motor continued to move, this would open. We would never get a lock because that switch is always open. Now, hopefully that explanation makes sense, and it explains how the I relay turns on and off. But as maybe a refresher from that previous episode, and also to finish out this explanation, how exactly does the I relay control whether an extra ball happens or not? If we look at around schematic section E19, the P relay is the add player unit relay, and the add player unit relay is in the back box. That's that big player unit. And so what happens as the trough switch is made, the add player unit's going to increase. So once a ball drains and then it kicks it out, it's going to close the trough switch as it rolls over it. And if the I relay with contact is normally closed, as long as that thing is normally closed, the P relay is going to be enabled, which is going to advance the player unit. Now, depending on how many players are playing, it might take you to the next ball in a one-player game, or it might take you to the next player if you're in a multiplayer game. That's kind of immaterial for the purpose of this conversation. Focus on that eye contact. It's a normally closed switch. So when the eye relay closes, any switches any contacts which are on that relay are going to transition. So a normally open switch would close, and a normally closed switch would open. If this is open and the ball runs through the trough switch, it cannot increment the player unit because it's open right now. So that's how the I relay, the extra ball unit, works.